It gives me no pleasure to title a video like this, but my disappointment is very real with the poor, beleaguered Dragon Drive. While it was mostly passed over and forgotten about in its reveal during the Switch 2 reveal direct, it resurfaced in game discourse with its release earlier this month to mostly middling or negative reviews. And yet when it was first revealed, I was really curious about it, having been the sucker I am for gimmicky motion-controlled Nintendo games since the Wii Sports days. I love the concept of Dragon Drive, wheelchair basketball played by robots. But that's all it is, a concept. Decidedly lacking in that Nintendo sauce, this game is not beating the allegations that it lacks personality. It really is bland to look at, and almost as bland to play. But is it all doom and gloom? Well, I personally still found a lot to enjoy here, especially in terms of gameplay. And for only $20, does it really deserve all the harsh flack it's getting from the major gaming outlets and Nintendo YouTubers? In this video, I'll lay out my own unbiased thoughts on Dragon Drive, and by the end you'll know if it's worth dropping those $20 hard-earned dollars on. So with that out of the way, and no pun intended, let's roll out. Dragon Drive takes place in a single location, what appears to be a stadium in a busy city. I'll get back to the location and environment later, but the focus of this game is 3v3 wheelchair basketball, played entirely online, with some mini-games between matches. The crux of the gameplay involves manipulating two Joy-Con 2s on their sides, in the Switch 2's much-touted new mouse mode, and sliding them forward on a flat surface, replicating the arm movements required to manipulate a wheelchair. You can also brake using the shoulder buttons, and perform quick turns by sliding just one Joy-Con 2 or sliding both of them in opposite directions. On a smooth surface, if you're sitting at a desk or table, this control scheme works surprisingly well. Coupled with small vibrations that also replicate the feel of a rolling wheel, it is a pretty good approximation of what manipulating a wheelchair is like. While I am a fully able-bodied person, I had the fortunate experience of participating in a wheelchair sports workshop during my public school education back in Australia, which included wheelchair basketball. I was instantly teleported back in time to those days, so this control scheme really did hit the right notes for me. However, I am a couch gamer. There's nothing like sitting back with a controller on a comfortable low chair after a long day at the office, so this is where the control scheme's shortcomings come into play. First, I tried sliding the Joy-Con 2s on my armchair's armrests, which worked surprisingly well, except during intense matches where my arm kept slipping off the sides. Nintendo also recommends sliding it on your own legs, so I gave that a go in 3 different configurations. After working all day, I like to change into comfortable pants for home, and being the hot sticky summer here in Japan, I tried it with a simple pair of cotton shorts. This mostly worked well, but as the shorts are loose, if I readjusted my posture, the newly formed ripples in the fabric would snag the controller mid-movement, causing my character to spin around. Then I tried it with some tight-fitting jeans, despite the heat. This worked best of all, but as I saw some people online saying the color of their jeans rubbed off onto the Joy-Con 2, I didn't want to risk this. So I suppose if you're wearing tight, smooth pants with colors that won't come off, this is the ideal way to play Dragon Drive not at a table. And just for fun, I went against Nintendo's advice and tried it on my bare legs. I got instant friction burns and my leg hair got snagged on the wrist straps, so yeah, don't do that. Anyway, this game needs to be played on a table or desk, which is the greatest shortcoming of the control scheme. In such a configuration, it's a great and creative showcase for what the new mouse functionality can do, providing a control scheme that has never been done before and something that I never would have expected. But a couch game, this is not, and this is a negative mark against the game as a whole, especially if you're a TV and couch gamer like me. An option for traditional button controls using the Pro Controller would go a long way here, but I suppose that does defeat the purpose of the overall game. So, onto the basketball portion. You have to ram other players to have them drop the ball, then you automatically pick it up. You pass to another player by pressing both shoulder buttons at the same time, and lift one Joy-Con 2 and flick your wrist to shoot. There is no aiming to be done with either of these. You'll automatically pass to the most logically forward-facing teammate, and the ball will automatically head towards the hoop. However, your accuracy in scoring is randomly determined by your velocity if you're moving, your distance from the hoop, and how accurately you are facing that hoop. While this sounds frustrating, not having full agency over what you can do with the ball, it does work quite intuitively. The games are only 3 minutes after all, and with the real challenge coming from manipulating your wheelchair with the 2 Joy-Con mice, it is still a fun control scheme, provided you're set up properly on a flat surface. Playing online, I found 3-minute games to be the perfect length, as my skinny little arms started to get tired in the last minute of each match. And post-game, Dragon Drive automatically puts you in matches and mini-games without you needing to navigate menu options. In this sense, its online is better than Mario Kart Worlds in terms terms of simplicity and efficiency, and it provides a nice balance of matches, breaks, and mini-games. It means you don't need to think that much. You can just boot up Drag and Drive and play what it serves you in short bursts. I never wanted to play for more than 30 minutes at a time, so I got great variety without having to think or do much. Now, as for those mini-games, this is where Drag and Drive is severely lacking. There are only two mini-game types: Circuit Sprint, where you have to place first in a short race, and Rebound Scramble, where you have to be the first to catch a falling ball. And that's it. While there are some variations in courses, these provided next to no excitement for me and got old really fast. And this is just the first of many ways Drag and Drive is lacking in content and personality. During break times, you can practice tricks in the stadium's half pipes or practice jumping rope with bunny hops, but these are so boring and dull. Additionally, while there are tricks you can practice like those bunny hops and backflips, and these do earn you bonus points while shooting during matches, they are so difficult and unfun to pull off that I didn't really bother. And just going back to the online matches, we have to talk about playing with other people. If you've ever played Rocket League, there's a great point of comparison to be made here in terms of player sportsmanship and cooperation. 90% of the time, when other teammates get the ball, they will not pass it to you, even when it's logical to do so, because they want the glory and fun of scoring the goal themselves. Despite Drag and Drive clearly taking a lot of inspiration from Rocket League, Nintendo didn't look at that game's biggest issue and come up with a solution. I don't know what that solution could be, maybe rewarding players with points for passing or making passing necessary to shoot, but it's a shame Nintendo didn't have the foresight to see this coming. But then again, games are only 3 minutes long, and overall this game is just meant to be a time killer played in short bursts, so it's not that big of a deal. So that's all I have to say on the gameplay for now. I'll circle back to it in the closing. Now I'd like to talk about this game's lack of personality and dearth of content, and why this is such a disappointment. First, let's just look at the visual design of this game. Most have compared its visuals to those of Rocket League, a comparison I wholly agree with. Simple and clean environments with a focus on gameplay, which definitely suited Rocket League in its early days as it was steadily growing in popularity. But after that IP grew and was purchased by Epic Games, more customization and visual flair was injected. So in a world where Rocket League exists and is at least more visually exciting than it used to be, Drag and Drive seems like a primitive reversion. And factor in that Drag and Drive was developed and published by Nintendo, the company with the most visually striking characters and worlds in gaming, and yeah, this just makes no sense, man. What were they thinking? Just one indoor stadium with next to no personality at all. All I could notice in the way of fun and personality were these pipes running along the wall, making it seem like it could be a place that exists in the world, as well as just a glimmer of personality in these spotlights that look like cute little basketballs. Why not lean into that? Give it some steampunk basketball flair, or a bit of post-apocalypse. Anything that establishes the world of Drag and Drive as having just a little magic to it. And on that note, what even are these characters? Are they robots? People in armor? Why are they in wheelchairs? I understand there's a level of sensitivity required when dealing with wheelchair-using characters, but the way Nintendo dances around it and gives these characters no personality is perhaps even more offensive than leaning into it. As far as I could find, the word wheelchair isn't even used in any of the in-game text, or on the game's website. Nintendo themselves refer to them as vehicles rather than wheelchairs. While we have Nintendo's rivals Xbox and Sony touting their accessible controllers every 5 minutes despite barely making any new games, we have Nintendo making a full game with wheelchair-using characters, potentially doing more for actual representation than their peers. And yet they do nothing with it. Why not come up with original characters and lore-based reasons for using wheelchairs? Give them comically large, muscular arms instead of these weird fat robot arms. Lean into a steampunk or post-apocalyptic theme or a sci-fi theme, anything. I can excuse Rocket League for its simple and clean design, but this is Nintendo. They debuted this game in the reveal of their new console and released it during the launch window to show off the console's new functionality. Many have compared it to ARMS during the launch window of the Switch 1. I loved ARMS and especially loved the character designs of that game. While that game might not have reached any sales milestones, it still has its devoted fans, and those character designs are still universally praised. When Min Min was added to Smash Bros., her inclusion was logical and her visual design was striking among the other fighters. Where is that level of effort here? Why weren't Nintendo's artists sent in to spice up what is already a pretty underwhelming game? I get that it's only a $20 game, meant to be played in short bursts and only there to demonstrate the console's new tech, but anything would have been better than this. While characters are a little bit customizable with colors and helmets, it's not nearly enough, with every player being near indistinguishable from the next. Even the cars in Rocket League have more personality and customizability than these guys. And now the dearth of content. The only collectible you have to unlock are the helmets, cheats by completing enough of the mini-games and challenges. The final unlockable that gives the player a basketball for a head is funny and the closest the game comes to having an identity, but these unlocks are hardly a compelling reason to complete the challenges. Having better content unlocks like, I don't know, new characters, different wheelchairs, new arenas, anything to fill out the game a bit more. Yes, it's only a $20 game, but I'd be happy to pay more for a well-rounded and complete Nintendo game. And finally, the music. You probably know what I'm going to say. There's nothing here at all. Just 90s style, record scratch heavy, hip-hop inspired, basketball themed music. Like the art department, the music department was also on holiday. There's nothing memorable here. Even pack-in games like Wii Sports and Nintendo Land, or the heavily criticized Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, had better jams than the slim pickings on offer here in Drag and Drive. Alright, let's wrap this all up. I hate to be this negative on a new game I was excited for, so I want to be clear that there is still a lot to enjoy in Drag and Drive. As a connoisseur of gimmicky motion control focused Nintendo games, this is a great effort, especially as one that shows off the Switch 2's mouse mode. The core concept of 3v3 wheelchair basketball is fun, and I will keep playing matches here and there to kill some time. It's a great concept, but sadly, that's all it is. A concept you have to pay $20 for. Lacking in content, personality, and memorability, Drag and Drive is destined to be forgotten about and left unplayed. I think Nintendo should let NSO subscribers play it for free, or have released it as a free game with paid additional content. This game is a hard sell for its relatively low asking price of $20. Even the $10 much lambasted Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour had more content for half the price, after all. So pick it up if you're curious about the gameplay, as you will likely enjoy that, but stay away if you're looking for anything more. Drag and Drive was a huge missed opportunity and a major disappointment from Nintendo. It's a game lacking in effort and could have and should have been so much more. Rocket League or ARMS this isn't, and Drag and Drive will amount to nothing more than a footnote in Nintendo's history. Thanks for watching until the end. So what are your thoughts on Drag and Drive? Do you think these robot ballers should be playable in the next Smash Bros? Despite their lack of personality, I can see fun moveset potential, and just seeing this guy fighting against Mario or Cloud is still so amusing to me. What even is this character's canon name? Robot Baller? Vehicle User? Hoop Shooter? Well, if you can think of a fun name for it, leave it down below too. So thanks for watching, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.